Hi, and a very warm welcome to wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Tulika, and I'm here with Speak Cryptic. Hi, Speak, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's been a crazy couple of months, but I'm alright. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah?
I'm great as well. It's also been a crazy couple of months.
Yeah.
2021 was like really crazy
Yeah,
for
it's
many of
2022.
us.
It's just mad.
Yeah.
Like the year just flew past.
Yes, it's wild. You are creating monochrome works, and you've done a recent commission for the Arts House, titled "The Same Side of the Moon Always Faces the Earth." Could you tell us a little bit more about the work?
Yeah, sure. The same side of the moon always faces the earth. I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful, but I kind of quite like long titles. I don't know why it's something very poetic about it, but yeah, the work is about the importance of having like a North Star. You know, I think with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, like I think it's important to sort of have an idea of where you are, you know, because everything's so chaotic. Like you watch the news and things are like the same but not the same. So you know, like I thought that creating a work to just remind people the importance of like having that North Star and something to look at when you're lost. I think it's important, I feel.
Yeah, and you've created this recent commission, which is a sculptural work, and you also create paintings and murals, which are like more monochrome.
Yeah.
And your works have traveled widely from, like, of course, Singapore to like Paris, Japan, the US, Russia. Can you tell us about what is the difference, or what is the experience of creating work in the studio versus something that's so site-specific, like the sculpture?
I mean, the difference, I don't know, like, I think that the approach to most of the stuff that I do is the same. You know, before I start anything, usually I would think about, like, okay, who is this going to be for? You know, and then go from there. Usually, like, the paintings and the drawings are more like personal stuff, you know, so it's really more, you know, like, serving me pretty much, you know.
Yeah,
like it's just a thing that I do to sort of like work out issues that I was personally facing, but with the more public stuff, the murals, the sculptures, the, you know, even the like the performance pieces. It's always thinking about, okay, who's this for, who's this serving, and then, you know, that kind of like shifts the process a bit, because then I will need to think about the location, to think about the site, to think about who's going to be looking at the work, and then going from there. So I think that's really the only difference, because at the end of the day, it's still creating through the lenses of me being Singaporean Malay Boyanese, you know, being raised by, you know, like punk rock music, being in bands since I was 13. So all that comes into play when I create the work.
Yeah, and identity is a big theme in your works.
Yeah.
Music and migration as well. And are these some of the ideas that you've explored in The Same Side of the Moon Always Faces the Earth?
I think the overarching theme, or the, you know, like, it has always been centered around this idea of identity. With the current with this particular sculpture that I'm doing, you know, it's at the it's not the end of the series, but for the past few works that I've created, it was exploring this idea of, you know, migration, this idea of moving from point A to point B, and how that affects your identity. So this particular work is also like based around that idea, based around you know, this need to sort of like to move, you know. And I think with this particular sculpture, it's actually just I wanted to take like a snapshot of a moment, of when we're actually going from point A to point B in the center of it. So that was the inspiration, like in regards to how it looks and stuff.
Yeah, and am I right to say that you can actually walk through it?
Yeah. Actually, initially I wanted it to be like a super long installation where, like a 10-20 meter kind of thing. Like it was initially in my head. But I think the fact that the work is outdoors, the fact that the work is on the lawn, I think it helps to sort of like give the impression of you walking through something, So, and I think it's about like 5 meters long, which I think is long enough for someone to feel like, oh, you're actually walking 5 meters,
Yeah.
So there's that physical.
Yeah, I think that participation with the work, it brings forth that idea of movement again.
Yes, yeah.
Which is important to the narrative. So 2021 has been a really busy year for you. What else have you been up to?
Wow, 2021 has been crazy. I got into NFTs, and that was like I sold my first NFT in March 2021, I think. Although it felt like years ago, but yeah, I think the thing with the NFT space is the space that doesn't sleep. Everyone's always talking, like people are always online all the time.
Yes.
So I think that why it feels like it's it's been like what 9-10 months, but it feels like like 9-10 years sometimes. So that's been keeping me busy because it involves me just reading about NFTs because I have no idea what NFTs were. I wasn't crypto native at all. Like I had no idea what the blockchain is or what cryptocurrency was. So there was a lot of reading up to do. So that took a chunk of my time. But yeah, then towards the till end of the year, I did a solo show, which was in Singapore and then in Paris. So that also took some time. But all in all, I'm just lucky and grateful to actually have something to do.
That's awesome. And yeah, I guess 2021 was a lot of like turning our attention away from the physical world to the online world.
Yeah.
But then still having one foot in the physical world, trying to figure out what's happening, making sense of things.
Yeah, it's scary because I've been to more online like gallery shows in 2021 than I have been to like physical shows. So it's weird, but
yeah, that one's one for the history books.
Yeah,
really.
it's so nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a Singaporean, it's been really special to see the evolution of your works. One of the first murals that I encountered was actually at the projector.
All right.
With like the cast of characters, and every time I walk past it, I feel a sense of connection to it because people come and go at the cinema, and then those cast of characters are always there. So, what types of collaborations have you been doing? Like from the mural that you did, the recent works have added layers of like poetry and writing. So how do these collaborations come about? And
yeah, I think with regards to the collaboration, how I go about doing it is, to me, it has to serve both parties. I feel like there's a lot of things in the world that I cannot do. Writing poetry is one example, or staging a performance piece is another. But sometimes when I feel, when I'm creating a work, I sometimes think, okay, what could be added on to this thing that I'm doing that could elevate the experience for the other people who might be looking at it. And sometimes, that's how I approach it. Sometimes, I would be looking at it and say, oh, like maybe if I have someone dressed up as my character and they do this, then I would, go and actively search out for people who might be interested in doing that thing that I'm thinking of doing, right? But there have been instances where it's like just like me talking to, like we're having a conversation like now and then it's just creating this relationship of, you know, an understanding between me and this other person, and say, oh, you do this, and oh, I do this, you know, like maybe we could do something together. And I think, like, for me, it's important not to force it. I think I'm very lucky to have met a lot of people in doing this line of work, but I also feel that all the relationships that I've made have been very genuine and have been very sincere. And the collaborations usually come up from just having a chat, you know,
Yeah.
like having tea and just like prata and like, hey, what are you doing now? Say, oh yeah, maybe we could do this. What are the kind of things are you exploring? And then, oh, I'm doing the same thing, you know, like maybe we could do something together, and then it goes from there.
Yeah. Flow, not force.
Yeah, flow, not force. Yeah,
Yeah.
I should put that on a t-shirt.
What about the NFTs? Like, did that also start from a collaborative mindset?
Well, not really. I think the thing about me and how I think about my work, I think it comes from a very like a street art mentality. I feel like this idea of getting up, this idea of wanting to show my work to as many people as possible. I think it's where I was coming from, like in regards to NFTs, because when I first found out about NFT, I thought it was like another, like one of those Instagram, like I thought it was just a platform for people to show their art, and this was a couple of days right before the big Beeple bang, you know, like before Beeple sold his work for $69 million, right? And then when that happened, like everything sort of like, you know, it almost felt like the car that I was in, that was driving at, you know, 10 kilometers an hour, suddenly it's like it's 100, you know, because everything was so accelerated. And for me, but the thing is, although NFTs has been centered around like huge numbers and all that, for me it was more like, oh, this is another chance to expand my audience. And you know, like it's very digital native. That was the impression I got when I first heard of NFTs. And in my head I was like, oh, I had all these digital drawings that, you know, that's just lying around. I mean, like technically lying around, but it's on my iPad.
Yeah.
So and I was like, oh, maybe this would be a good time to show the works, because before that, you know, I wasn't really thinking about it, but at the same time, like there were all these drawings that I did digitally. So with NFTs, you know, I felt like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to show that part of the work, that part of my practice. So that's how I thought about it. But you know, a couple of weeks going into it, I discovered this community of people. You know, we started talking on Clubhouse. You know, it would go from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then like the next day, you know, it would go for this for a good amount of days, and days become weeks, and we be talking. And then now I'm part of this community of NFT. Is a community called NFT Asia, which is a community of artists who are NFT curious or crypto curious, and we've just been learning together since then. So it's been strange. It's been wonderful. It's just, you know, it's life. It's
Yeah,
just, yeah.
and I think in the crypto world, time, the relationship with time is wild, really.
Yeah, it's so nuts. Like again, like you know, everyone that I've spoken to, you know, they all agree. You know, 7 days, it's like 7 months, 7 months, like 7 years. It's just nuts.
Yeah, but it's really cool to have that community, and it's even cooler to be able to find different ways of expressing through the different mediums that you've been working on. You mentioned theater earlier, and you mentioned something about someone acting out like your cast of characters.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Did you collaborate with like theater before?
Yeah, so I staged a performance in 2016 as part of the Open Festival. I think it's a thing called Club Malam, and it had 75 people who came from different backgrounds, but mostly they were like theatre students. Some are older, you know, some are younger, but I spent like a good 2-3 months to talk to them about my work and to talk to them about this cast of characters and where they come from. And then towards the end of it, you know, they all dressed up as my characters, and we staged this performance at the Old Kallang Airport in 2016. And in 2018, I worked with a theatre collective called Cousin MD, and we staged a performance at the Assange Museum called The Anatomy of a Heartbreak. So the idea was to stage a performance talking about the 7 stages of like grief, you know. But this is about, you know, the act of trying to get over someone. You know? So I had like again people dressed up as my characters, and then we would stage that performance, which involved a lot of dancing, very movement based, sort of like you know, I'm not able to articulate properly because, you know, I don't know the exact terminology. But both times it's been a really wonderful experience. Like at least for me, to see and to be involved in the process of another, you know, of another medium, you know, and seeing how it works, you know, that to me has been very valuable, I think, and it's just very precious to me, you know. So doing that kind of like opened up my horizons a bit more. I think I'm a better artist for it, and hopefully, I don't know, they feel the same way. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. 75 characters.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had to like so each I think we divided the group into like 5 or 6, and then each of them were doing like certain things. They had certain actions, or these things that we call like happenings. So they were like in certain pockets of like Old Kallang Airport doing their thing. Some were playing like cards. There was another group that followed people and mimicked what they were doing. So it was
cool.
It
was really brought to life.
Yeah, it
literally.
was a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for like similar works in the future?
Well, I think I mean I'm definitely open to, at this point, like anything and everything, you know. But of course, it has to make sense to the work that I'm doing, or to the issues that I'm currently exploring. You know, I think for me, everything sort of like because people tend to be a bit confused in regards to what I do, because I'm like everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You know, I'm doing street art. I'm doing a bit of like even like design, you know, murals, installation, performance pieces. But at the end of the day, I feel that it all goes back to the drawing, you know, and I feel that I am just a person who likes telling stories through the visual form. You know, I'm not very comfortable with words, as you can tell by now. I'm not good at writing. Obviously not good at singing, but I think like I'm just very comfortable in expressing my thoughts and ideas through drawing, and everything that you've seen in the murals, the sculptures, the performance pieces, all comes from that sketchbook, you know, that I keep at my house.
It all starts from the drawing board,
yeah,
which is
yes.
the literal sketchbook.
Yeah. So it's literally like that. When I say I was back to the drawing board, it's like, you know, I have a drawing board. So yeah.
What's a typical day like for you?
A typical day. Well, since the pandemic, there hasn't been any typical days. But before the pandemic, I could remember the time. It was like, but before pandemic, I used to like really try to structure up my days. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is always spent creating. So any creative work is so that would involve anything that involves, painting, drawing, or just like ideation. It's Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then Tuesday and Thursdays are usually administrative, emails and meeting people and studio visits, and yeah, the weekends are just for the family, but since the pandemic, it's just been. I don't know what the day
What
is
day
like.
is it? What time is it? It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that I mean, I usually wake up around 7-8ish. I will have my water, and then I'll make myself a cup of coffee, and that has been the only constant. After that, it's just like, okay, what's gonna happen?
And also sleep.
Yeah, sleep. Of course.
Yeah. But it's cool to have that structure, to have a few days dedicated to just purely creating with no distractions.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important part of the process.
Yeah, I think like with the current work that I'm doing, especially for the stuff for the solo that I did, that I needed like a structure, because I needed to create enough works to show, So for stuff like that, when I know that there's something to work towards, I think that's when like structure comes into play. But again, with everything that's been going on with the pandemic, with how they can tell you that, okay, this is going to be happening, and then like, oh, it's not going to be happening. That's happened like a lot of times. I realized that, okay, I need to just be a bit more open and be. So instead of like complaining, just try to love whatever happens. I think if I'm gonna be negative about it, then I'm just gonna go nuts. So.
Yeah, I think important to focus on what's there, and like you said, it's important to have that anchor.
Yes.
And have that, at least know the few things that are constant, and just focus on that instead of what you can't control.
Yeah. So I mean, like going full circle with the work that I'm presenting, there's this idea of the anchor, this idea of or the importance of knowing where you are. I think helps, especially, I mean, like there's a whole conversation about mental health and how everyone's, and how like with like a lot of people I've talked to, before the pandemic, they weren't even they've never even heard this idea of like mental health, like what you're talking about, but I think because of how everything is, and how everyone is just being unsure of things, it kind of like does a number on you, so
yeah. It's especially prevalent now. We've been here for like over 20 months. Most of our coping mechanisms, are just not around. So it's a very real issue.
Yeah, I mean, I ran out of shows to watch. Like what's on Netflix? I don't know. Like it's the same things.
Yeah, reach the end of Netflix. Yeah, what a time, really.
Yeah.
The journey towards your solo exhibition must have been really intense, but I guess having that project was also another way to look at having a constant, like that you're working towards something.
Well, yeah, I mean, like with the solo stuff, the approach to it has been actually is a bit different from my older works. Just the current drawings that I'm doing now is more personal. So I used to say that the works that I create is a reaction towards my immediate environment, but this time around it's a reaction towards my internal environment. So there was a lot of unpacking, a lot of like thinking, about where I've been and what I've done and how that defines me, or whether that defines me at all. All these questions when I'm drawing. So it was intense in that way, because there were moments in time when I had to stop to like take a breath, and there are other times when I would start drawing at 8 and realize that it's 8 p.m. Like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Like I don't know where the time went, because I'd be so into it. So yeah, it's been intense, but again, like I'm just super lucky and super grateful to be in this position where I'm drawing for a living. It's just it's just way beyond like my understanding and my comprehension. Like, how am I still able to do this? And I think it's a matter of just perspective. I think with everything, and the reason why I'm still able to stay sane, I think just perspective. So.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, really, that we are able to do what we do.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for taking us through this journey of like inner and outer.
No, thank you for talking. I'm just blown away when anytime when someone like they feel like, oh, I want to talk to you about, I want to ask you about your work. I say, oh, really? Yeah. It's always like, oh, okay. So I appreciate the time and
yeah. Thank you for making time.
No, thank you.
Where can we see more of your works?
Right now at this point, January, I'm preparing for the installation. Same side of the moon always faces Earth. That will be taking place at the Arts House from January 14th to 6th February, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think that I have a couple of projects, a couple of workshops. I'm doing an NFT workshop in a school, which to me was like, what? So, considering the fact that I just found out about NFTs like in March, so.
But you're the first Singaporean to have an
I don't think I was the
NFT?
first Singaporean. I just think I was the loudest. I just think I was the only one. Like, oh, look at me! I sold my first NFT. But I don't think I was the first. And I think that's evident in the people that I've met in the space who are Singaporeans, who have sold, who have been very successful in the NFT space.
Who've just been like keyboard warriors, just doing it behind the screens.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, I mean, like, is this a very strange? It's just strange times, But I'm happy to be here.
Strange times, new mediums.
Yeah.
And life goes on just like that.
Yeah. We try our best. I think that's all we can do. Like, what else can we do? But we try our best.
Yeah. Cool. Check out the sculpture. It's at the front of the Arts House lawn. It's around from the 14th of January to the 6th of February. And thank you for making time today.
Thank you.